I wanted to circle back around to the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced emulators that leaked out for the Switch from 4chan. This was all anonymously done, and we went over it in detail earlier this morning in Newswave. But we did have a few other details that have come out, and people are still kind of back and forth on how legitimate specifically the Game Boy Advanced emulator is. But there is an entire list now of games that have been tested, and obviously that's leading to all kinds of dreams of what the Game Boy Advance section on the Nintendo Switch Online could look like. And I figured, hey, if we're going to be disappointed, might as well be disappointed together. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave Plus channel, make sure you subscribe down below. Now we're going to head over here to VGC, and the reason I say disappointed together is because most likely the games that are being outlined here from the data mining that's going on with all those files that were dropped on 4chan through anonymous links wouldn't be necessarily the exact games that would end up in one of these services that Nintendo would launch. And even if they are, they would probably be way out into the future. You know, like the entire library. Nintendo basically has to drip feed this stuff because it's attached to a service and not something that's just being sold outright. That means that obviously they have to keep you on the subscription service and keep you interested in renewing every single year. But we can see this over on VGC saying these are the 40 Game Boy Advance games tested for Switch's emulator. And if we scroll down here, VGC did a good job just kind of dropping it here in a list for us, as the tweets are still kind of suspect when it comes to putting in videos, because Nintendo, as provided these are legitimate, obviously the leaks, is not going to be happy. They're going to be looking for whoever put this out there, how it happened. I'm sure there's an internal investigation ongoing right now if they looked at these leaks and said, wait a minute, those are actually from within the company. So that's probably a whole thing if that's the case. The part that's still tripping a lot of us up has to do with that Easy Flash cartridge that was showed. I saw people even mention that Nintendo has their own flash cartridge that they use. So maybe because it's a studio that isn't like within Nintendo, like it's like a outsourcing company or just a different branch, they didn't have one, and they're like, well, let's just use this Easy Flash and we'll snap a picture to show how you would test these out. But anyway, provided just for a second, we'll just pretend like, okay, all this is legitimate. Here would be the games that were tested with that Game Boy Advance emulator. They said there are 40 of them. And when you start looking down the list here, it is a little odd because they tested Castlevania, Aria of Sorrow, Circle of the Moon. Those are already available in the collection, the Castlevania Advance collection now. I do like the idea of Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones coming over in the service, because that's a game that a lot of people haven't played. Back when Smash Bros. Melee came out, we were mostly introduced to Fire Emblem characters through that game, right? I mean, the Game Boy Advance game was out there, but for the most part, no one was really paying attention to Fire Emblem at that time in the West, so Melee was like our first indication of like Marth or Roy. We also have F-Zero, which, again, good to see F-Zero being tested. Golden Sun is the one that everyone's pointing to. Golden Sun and then Golden Sun The Lost Age. It's a series that I think people want to see revived at this point, but if they can just get these games at least, very, very least, onto a Game Boy Advance service for NSO, might give them a way to kind of test the waters and see if they would be able to sell one of these. We have Gunstar Superheroes, Harvest Moon, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, which is, I mean, it was a weird game in the first place on the Game Boy Advance because it was like a card game, kind of. And then you have to go through Square and Disney, and we haven't seen Square just start dropping games all over the place on NSO. Things like Chrono Trigger or even Super Mario RPG apparently are kind of up in the air right now, as if that'll even ever happen. We have Lufia, another good one to have there. A bunch of Mario games, as you expect, with golf, kart, party. That's an interesting one. Tennis. I actually like Mario Tennis Power Tour quite a bit on the Game Boy Advance. It kind of plays out like a sports RPG in the campaign mode, which is pretty cool. And then Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, absolute classic. That's the thing I really like about the Game Boy Advance games. There's so much variety and so much content they can pull from, provided they can get third parties on board, like Mega Man Battle Network 5, interesting enough, then 2, 0-3, which already have the Zero ZX collection. But if they can get Capcom on board and start getting some of these Mega Man games there, that'd be cool. Like, even get Mega Man and Bass. I know it was weird with the Game Boy Advance because the character sprite is so big in that version of the game that it was actually kind of hard to play. But still, just having that there would be cool. Metroid Fusion, Zero Mission are the obvious choices. They should have been there before Metroid Dread came out, but I guess better late than never if that ends up happening. Ninja 5.0 is a good one because it is extremely expensive still. That's one of the rarer Game Boy Advance games. Obviously, a lot of people have not had a chance to play it. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Pokemon Pinball. Be awesome to see that one. Mario Bros. 3, obviously. Super Robot Tyson. That's one that you don't see a lot of people mention, but it was an interesting game then. Tactics Ogre, which we're hearing rumors of Square doing some sort of reboot or remastering of it. Wario Land 4, Yoshi's Island, WarioWare, and then The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, another obvious choice there for Nintendo. And the thing about this is the list is believable, mostly because Mother 3 isn't there, and that would be the one that you would see and be like, oh, interesting, Nintendo tested Mother 3. They didn't even bother to test it if this is legitimate, at least as at the time of this being leaked out and this version of the emulator. There were some other mentions of interesting features for this, specifically the link cable, which was brought up for, I guess, switch-to-switch communication for trading different things like Pokemon games, I guess, if they go through with that, because there was also mention that there were screenshots and testing that was being done with Ruby, Sapphire. So if you have those two there and you can trade, potentially even battle online, I mean, that would be pretty big for Nintendo Switch Online, and yeah, it would probably get a ton of signups just from that inclusion alone. Now, the other thing that was brought up, and Emily Rogers had mentioned this prior to this leak getting out there, was transfer pack compatibility. And I believe Luigi Blood also pointed out that there is like a toggle in the files here when it comes to the transfer pack, either on or off. So if, say, they are able to do that, and they have Pokemon Stadium and Nintendo Switch Online for the N64 expansion pack, and then we start seeing like Red or Blue, for example, show up, then yeah, you could say transfer Pokemon from your Game Boy game for Pokemon and then bring it into Pokemon Stadium. Have these two different subscription services. Like, let's say Game Boy is on the basic tier, and then you do want to transfer it over to the Pokemon Stadium. Well, then you have to upgrade to the N64 expansion pack, provided that's how it all shakes out. I mean, who knows? Nintendo might just be done with adding more systems to the basic tier, and they just start dropping everything into the expansion pack tier. I think it'd be good to have base Game Boy and Game Boy Color on the $20 per year tier, and then they put Game Boy Advanced into that expansion pack, that $50 a year tier. I think Game Boy Advance alone would be compelling enough for people to make that upgrade. And just because all 40 of these games have been tested doesn't necessarily mean they would make it into the final decision-making for the service. These could be titles that they were going through and just testing for compatibility's sake. Who knows, maybe certain games trigger different issues in these emulators that they wanted to smooth out. That's why I said, hey, if we're going to be disappointed, we might as well all be disappointed together. But let me know what you guys think about this list here, and if there is a Game Boy Advanced section included or added to that expansion pack tier, which games would you like to see included? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.